Hey guys, and welcome into a new video. Today we're going to be doing another fantasy football mock draft, but today we're going to be doing it a little bit different. We're going to be doing a dynasty draft. Now, I think it's going to be kind of cool to do because personally, this is my first year doing a dynasty. I'm going to be doing our draft later on in this offseason whenever things start to get more clear, but I've always been enamored with the idea of a dynasty league. If you don't know what a dynasty league is, basically, it's like you have your own franchise. You're drafting your players, and you keep your team every year for as long as the league goes on. So there's a big priority on young guys. There's a semi-priority on the older guys that are going to help you win now. It's very much a hard thing because it's like, hey, are you trying to build a team to win right now, and then maybe you have to rebuild in a couple years? It's a lot of different spots to be in. So there's trading draft picks, etc. It's just something I've always been enamored with because I love the scouting process. I love the GMing of a team process, etc. So I thought this would be really fun to do. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be having our Dynasty League here. It's going to be all players, not just a rookie pool. Rookie pool is just if you already have the league going, you do the rookies only draft and you get your draft picks and you draft rookies for fantasy, whatever. Yeah, so pick logic, whatever. I'm not paying for anything, so it's going to be there. Snake draft type. There's going to be a 12-team Dynasty League, which is I'm hoping what I'm going to be able to get for my league as well. I'm also going to do subscriber league later on. I'm not sure if it's going to be a Dynasty League or if it's going to be a redraft league every year, but be sure to look out for that later on in the offseason as well. But we're going to randomize our draft position here, and we end up getting the 12th spot in the Dynasty League. So this is going to be a little bit tough. So I think Dynasty Leagues, a lot of times they are super flex, but we're going to just do one quarterback to start off, 2 running backs, 3 receivers, a tight end. There is going to be a flex position for us, and then defense and special teams, we're just going to take off that and the kicker because we don't really need that in the draft right now. There's obviously nowhere to go. Actually, no, I'm gonna add a super flex instead. So it'll make things different. A lot of them are 2 quarterback leagues, which is kind of good. So pick clock. Yeah, there's just going to be none there. And we'll start the draft here, and let's see what we do. Obviously, it's a little bit different of a scenario here in the background, if you can see here. I'm just showing in the living room, a little bit more of a comfy vibe for me. So there's that. My dog's in this corner over here, so you can kind of see her. She's napping. But, yeah, so we're going to look here at the draft board, and we look here. So Chris McCaffrey, Saquon, Thomas, Kamara, Cook, Hopkins, Devontae Adams, Mahomes, Zeke, Lamar Jackson, and Tyreek Hill are all off the board, and that's expected. If Lamar or Mahomes fell to me here, I'd probably take one of them at the turn because that's a quarterback that's going to last you a long time. So when you look here, Kyler Murray's here. This is a guy who also will be able to last you a very long time, so he might be somebody we look at. We go here to the running backs. A lot of guys I like here, and I think I'm going to go with 1, maybe 2, but yeah, so there's a lot of places you can go here. As you see, DJ Moore is very high because of his youth, and over some of the other guys as well as AJ Brown's up here very high. So it's definitely a lot of different things. So where I think I'm going to go, at least with this first pick, is I'm going to go ahead and select Josh Jacobs from Las Vegas. I think he's just going to have a very good career here for Las Vegas. Obviously, he's only a rookie, and he had such a great rookie year that this is a guy who wants to be my franchise player. I want him to be here for 10-plus years on my team as long as this league is going to last as that long. So I really like that. Now, what I'm thinking here is maybe even going Nick Chubb as well because obviously he's sharing the backfield with Kareem Hunt this year. But when you go into the year after that, we don't know what the quarterback situation is going to be. We don't know how the Odell situation is going to be handled. We most likely know that Kareem Hunt's probably not going to be there after this year. He'll probably get a paycheck somewhere else to go and compete for a starting job. So I like him a lot more than I like Joe Mixon here. But do I want to go back-to-back running backs here and pass up on a top-tier quarterback? And Kyler Murray most likely is who I would be going for. And that's really what I'm looking at. And I don't know if I can do that. I think I might have to go with Kyler Murray. It hurts a lot to pass up on Nick Chubb here, but again, I want a franchise guy, and it's going to be such a long time for me to go. A lot of these quarterbacks are probably going to be gone. I don't want to be stuck with a bad quarterback. I want my franchise guy, so Kyler Murray is going to be a franchise piece for me, and we get him here, and the draft wizard is going to go through and get the next selections. All right, going into our third-round pick, we see some other guys go off the board, some rookies as well. Jonathan Taylor, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, etc. Off the board. As we saw, look, a lot of quarterbacks did go. So right now we'd be picking between Burrow, Mayfield, and Wentz, and Rodgers possibly. But overall, this is a solid. I'm glad we went Kyler Murray. We could go with another quarterback, but over here, I'm not. Maybe Burrow would be somebody I'd look at, but overall, I'm not really too ecstatic about them. We don't have a receiver. We don't have a second running back. So there's definitely things to look at. Now, Courtland Sutton is very enticing, but because of them getting Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler this draft, I'm just a little bit worried about how his workload is going to progress throughout the years. This is a pick where I'm going to have this guy for a lot of time. So I want him to be a top player. And I think that we're going to have to go probably with a running back here. It really depends on who we want, and that's what's kind of hard. We have a rookie in DeAndre Swift who we might be able to go after. Kenyon Drake, I'm just worried about his longevity after this year. So I think that what we're going to do here with a guy who we know is going to have a starting job probably locked down after this season, in my opinion, and that's going to be DeAndre Swift. I think his talent is just going to be overall better than most of the people that we can get here, and that's somebody that I'd rather have on my team. And then I think I'd rather go with a receiver if I can. If not, I'll probably go with another quarterback. Or maybe even a tight end, as there's some here. Maybe Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews would probably be my pick. Once again, just due to that longevity. But looking here, I think that if we go wide receiver, it's got to be somebody with a lot of upside. It's got to be a guy that can have me a long time. And the three names that are popping out to me right now are DK Metcalf, CeeDee Lamb, and Stephon Diggs. Now, Stephon Diggs is obviously a little bit older than the other guys, which is a little bit worrisome, I'd say. Because you won't get him for as long of a period, but you know what you're getting out of him. I really am high on him in Buffalo. But when we're looking here, there's a possibility Diggs falls to us next round. A guy who I don't think is going to fall to us next round is DK Metcalf, and I really just love his upside. I think that he is a beast of a receiver. I thought that last year. I was so surprised he didn't even go in the top 15, let alone the first round, let alone almost at the second round. So I'm going to go here with DK Metcalf as my first receiver off the board and hope that some guys start falling to us as well. So we see a lot of guys going, a lot of receivers going. Diggs did end up going at the turn of the 5th round. A lot of receivers ended up keep going. But I think that overall, we do miss out on CeeDee Lamb barely, which does stink. That was a guy who I was hoping to fall as well. There are some great picks, and I'm not even going to pass up on Terry McLaurin here. McLaurin is the number 1 receiver in Washington. There's not really anybody else to compete for that job. Now we go here to running backs. Again, it's kind of hard because I need another running back. That's just something I really want to invest in. I also need another quarterback. As we see, there's first of all, Patrick Mahomes and Dak Prescott are your first 2 picks. That's a nuts first 2. But a lot of teams are already getting there. There's some teams that don't even have a quarterback yet. So it's definitely a thing I want to address because I think that but what if we don't go quarterback here? I think I'm willing to take the chance on maybe a Herbert falling down or a Teddy B as our second. I like Daniel Jones. If Daniel Jones falls to us next round, that's going to be great. But what I'm looking at here is that a lot of teams that don't have a quarterback or maybe a second quarterback, you're going to want guys that you can move around if you need to, especially in a 2-quarterback league. But we are looking here, and we've gotten a lot of young guys, right? A lot of young guys, a lot of potential. I think we need a guy who we know can just go out there and produce no matter what. And when I'm looking at that, Mark Andrews is still on the board, though. I think I'm going to stay young. I think I'm going to go Mark Andrews, get a tight end, and let's hope that the quarterbacks start to fall. Matt Ryan went right after Tua just went. Daniel Jones just went. So the quarterbacks were not falling, as we see a run on quarterbacks, actually. So our plan kind of backfired a little bit. Jimmy G's still there, Teddy B, Ryan Tannehill, Brady's still there as well. Okay, so one of these picks is going to be a quarterback for us, if not 2. But when we look here at what we have, as we scroll down the draft board a little bit, I noticed that you guys weren't really able to see. We just got Mark Andrews. Our tight end is pretty much set. We're good with that. It's really just a matter of, do we want to go receiver here or running back? Because the running backs are obviously going to start going off the board a lot more. I think that we go with a guy in Devin Singletary here, just due to the fact that he is the lead back in Buffalo, and he won that job last year, so I think that his ceiling is a lot higher than a guy like Montgomery. I love Chris Carson. I love Le'Veon Bell, but I just don't know what I'm getting longevity from them. It's a crowded backfield in New York. It's a crowded backfield in Seattle. I'm just worried. So I'm going to go with David Montgomery here. Oh, not David Montgomery. I almost messed that up. Devin Singletary. And then I have to go a quarterback. We went on a huge quarterback run here. It's hard because Teddy B, we know he's going to be the quarterback in Carolina for a while. Jimmy Garoppolo is a franchise quarterback for what they're paying him. Gardner Minshew's got upside, but I think that it's got to be Teddy Bridgewater here. I love Ryan Tannehill as well, but that age and the injury concerns are there. I'm going Teddy B. Worst comes to worst, he dumps it off to McCaffrey. He's got a great yard after catch receiving core in Robbie Anderson, Samuel, and DJ Moore. I really just like what that offense has around Teddy B, and I really hope that he can do what he was doing in New Orleans for them. And now we look, Jimmy G, there was not another quarterback taken. So I mean, good thing we got Teddy B because he might have been taken, but it was a huge run on receivers and running backs in that next round. So I'm kind of happy that we went Teddy B there. But we definitely need to look at running backs. Do we take a Matt Breida or a Tony Pollard or a Sony Michel here? Now, I think Sony Michel has the best upside, but it's just a big worry of, is he going to be able to do anything in that offense? That offense is very weird. We all know how weird that offense is. I think that we look at receiver here. There's some good ones on the board, especially some young ones as well. We have a lot of young guys. Our team it's a weird spot because we have a team that I think is willing to compete for first year, but it's definitely not a top team. And we're going to have to make some moves, trade some draft picks if we want it to be a competing team year one. I'm going to take a guy in Darius Slayton here, who I know has a lot of upside. He had a very good year with the Giants last year. I think he's going to do very well, and we're actually going to move this camera over real quick. Okay, so now you can see the board probably a little bit better. We took Slayton there. We see some running backs here that are very big upside guys like Antonio Gibson getting taken. So we definitely, right here we can pretty much go anywhere. We could take another quarterback and be able to trade him later on to a team that maybe doesn't. I mean, we look here. This team right here, living on a Prater, only has Baker Mayfield as a quarterback, and that is very scary. Jared Goff's their only quarterback here. That's very scary. Those are the only two teams that only have one quarterback, so we'd be able to do that. But do we pass up on a guy that's going to produce at a high level, like a Deontay Johnson, who's still on the board, Mecole Hardman? These are guys who are going to be franchise guys for a long time, but this would be drafting very, very young, and it's going to be harder to compete when we draft that young. I think personally what we're going to do here is we're going to go with a little older running back here in Mark Ingram. And the reason I'm doing this here is because a lot of these guys, there are a lot of question marks. Matt Breida is probably going to produce, but we don't really know what his role is going to be. All these guys have question marks around them. Ronald Jones, I like. Do I go Ronald Jones? It's Ronald Jones or Mark Ingram. I need a guy who I know I can play. That's the problem, because Swift, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to play him right away. Mark Ingram or Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones, I mean, he has a good situation there with Tom Brady. With Tom Brady being there, he's going to be able to be used a lot more. He's not going to be playing from behind. They did draft Keyshawn Vaughn. I don't think he's going to bite into his carries a lot year one, but he might year two. I'm going to go with the safe pick here, even though they have J.K. Dobbins. It doesn't feel good. That's the hard part about this, is that it doesn't feel that great. There's nobody really else that I like, though. I'm going to go with a guy who's just always proven in Mark Ingram, because I need some players that are able to win now. I need some players I can play and not be worried about their production right away. So we do that, and we come here to the next round, and a lot of running backs ended up getting taken, so I'm glad that I took another running back there in Mark Ingram, because a lot of these guys are not as, sought over, basically. Tevin Coleman is pretty nice, though, even though Mostert, I think, is going to have it. Deontay Johnson fell to us, so we're going to take him here. I think that's a very good pick, as we have 3 more rounds to go. Are there any quarterbacks that were falling? Tannehill and Brady are still on the board. Minshew's still there. Jordan Love. I think we have to go with one of these top guys here. I know that we obviously need other positions, but if we get another quarterback, we can move one of our quarterbacks. That Baker Mayfield team still doesn't even have a second one. So we'll be able to move one of these quarterbacks, especially if they're in a win-now situation. And I think we got to go with Brady. He's got weapons, and he's there for 2 years. Let's go Tom Brady here in the 12th. It's a big risk, a huge run on running backs there. Tannehill, Big Ben went. So yeah, Big Ben, Gardner Minshew, and Haskins ended up going in the 13th. I'm glad that we went quarterback there. Get a third one because we can move them around. Now that we're here, we got 2 more picks. These are our last 2 selections for the draft. I'm looking at tight ends here. And I think I want to go with Tyler Higbee, who had a very good year last year, got paid, be our second tight end with Mark Andrews, and will really help us out there. And then we're just going to go with a guy here in the last round who is just going to be a guy that we hope pans out, whether that be a very young rookie, maybe not even a starting job yet, or that be somebody that we just want later down the line to work out. So, I mean, looking at these guys, there's a lot of good talent still here at the receiver position. Sanders is still there. Sammy Watkins, Robbie Anderson. Definitely a lot of good talent here. And then we have the running back spot. I mean, if I were to go running back here, it'd probably be Eno Benjamin out of Arizona, because I think after this year he probably will have the starting job if he plays how he should. And Kenyon Drake, even though he's a good running back, I don't know if they're going to pay him because he's a running back. So, oh man, I think it's got to be a receiver that's going to be able to help us right away. You know, we have Deontay Johnson, Darius Slayton, DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin. So receivers a need for us, and we have to get one that can play right away. So, do we go after a Robbie Anderson who's got the upside, is in a little bit better of a system that would be a stack with Teddy B, which would be good, or do we go with a guy in an Emmanuel Sanders who we know should just get production? I think it's gonna be Emmanuel Sanders here. We go a little bit older at the end of the draft, but overall, I think that we're getting a team that can produce right away. We're gonna see they grade the drafts. We got to be 84 out of 100. I'm okay with that. So when you look here, Kyler Murray at quarterback, I love that pick. They have Singletary at a super flex. I'd probably put Teddy B there, but we have Jacobs and Swift at our running backs with DK Metcalf, Terry McLaurin, Darius Slayton at receiver. Like those very much because not only are they going to produce right away, they were very good producers in the rookie years, but we're going to have these guys for 10 years, So McLaurin, Slayton, and Metcalf are just going to have projections through the roof throughout the year. So I really like that. Mark Andrews is a perfect fit with Lamar Jackson. So with that being a team for such a long time, I can't wait to see what they do. Singletary being our flex is really cool. Obviously, I think Teddy Bridgewater would be there. But Singletary there, we'll just probably switch out for Swift until Swift's ready to take over. So taking Swift early is a huge upside pick, and we don't have to start him right away because we have Singletary, because we have Mark Ingram as well. Then you look at our bench, Deontay Johnson, very good rookie season, high upside as well. Tom Brady, who we can just play, on the bad weeks, so we don't want to play Bridgewater, whatever. He can be in there as much as we want. And not only that, we could trade him at the deadline to a team who's really in perfect spot to maybe win the Super Bowl for the league. If we're not in that position, we can send him to a team that can do that and end up getting some young talent or some draft picks as well, send him for maybe a second-round pick, which would be awesome for me. Then we end up with Tyler Higbee, who's a good complement to Mark Andrews, both young tight ends who have been very good for the teams, and ended off with Emmanuel Sanders, who, yes, is up there in age, but can produce right away for us. So I really like our team. They have a projected standings here, so we're going to look here and see where we're at. They have us getting 7th place in our on our first year, but our bench is a very high scoring bench is what they're saying. So overall, kind of what I like. I really like where they're at. That living on a Prater team that ended up taking a lot of players instead of quarterbacks has ended up projecting to win the league. So that's definitely cool to see, but I really like where we're at. Middle of the pack team, can make the playoffs if we need to, can trade our picks to maybe get better, can trade some older heads to get more picks. So a lot of things you could do with a dynasty team. Like I said, this is one of my first drafts as one. So if you guys did enjoy, please be sure to hit that like button below, as it does help me out so much, and subscribe if you are new. If you didn't, just refresh the page, check it out again, and let me know what you think a second time. And without further ado, that is going to be it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one.